breaking, uncovering the unexpected. Why Vanessa Trump came into Tiger Woods' life at just the right time. Fame is loud. It arrives with flashes, headlines, applause, and the constant hum of expectation. But the moments that change a life most deeply often come after the noise fades, when the stadium empties, when the cameras move on, when the world believes it already knows your story. Tiger Woods knew this quiet better than most. For decades, he lived at the center of a global roar. Every swing measured, every victory amplified, every misstep magnified. He was a prodigy turned icon, a champion turned myth, a human being turned symbol. And when injury, controversy, and time slowed his momentum, the quiet arrived not as peace, but as a reckoning. Across the same city streets, within a different orb of attention, Vanessa Trump also understood what it meant to live under a spotlight that rarely asked permission. Public life had given her visibility without privacy, recognition without authorship of her own narrative. And when chapters close, as they inevitably do, the silence afterward carried its own weight. This is where our story begins, not with scandal, not with spectacle, but with timing, with two people who had already lived several lives, finding themselves at a moment when the world expected less from them and therefore allowed them more room to simply be. 2. Timing as a force of nature. There's a romantic notion that people enter our lives by chance. In reality, timing behaves more like gravity, pulling certain lives together when internal seasons align. For Tiger, this was a period of recalibration. The athlete who once bent reality on the fairway was learning how to negotiate with his own body. Pain had become a companion. Recovery was no longer a temporary state. It was a way of life. And yet, within this slower rhythm, something unexpected happened. Perspective. He began to notice what speed had once blurred. Quiet mornings, the simple joy of movement, the importance of presence over performance. The world still called him a legend, but he was learning how to exist as a man beyond the myth. Vanessa's timing was different but resonant. Life after a highly public chapter requires courage of a subtler kind. It means choosing who you are when no one is scripting your role. It means protecting your inner life from public assumptions. It means rebuilding, not from failure, but from exhaustion. When two people meet at this crossroads, after ambition has been tested, after identity has been shaken, connection takes on a different quality. It is less about becoming something new and more about remembering what was always there. 3. The weight of names. Names carry histories. For Tiger Woods, his name evoked dominance, discipline, and destiny. For Vanessa Trump, her name carried an entire political and cultural universe, often overshadowing her own individuality. Meeting someone who understands the burden of a name can be unexpectedly comforting. No explanations are required. No apologies are necessary. There is a mutual recognition that identity is not something you own. It is something you manage. In creative imagination, their early conversations would not revolve around achievements or headlines. They would talk about children, about routines, about the strange dissonance of being recognized everywhere and known almost nowhere, about how public perception freezes you at a moment in time, while real life keeps moving. There is relief in being seen, without being summarized. 4. Resilience without performance. Resilience is often portrayed as a triumphant return, standing ovations, comeback wins, dramatic arcs. But there is a quieter resilience that rarely earns applause, choosing stability over spectacle. Tiger's resilience was no longer about chasing records. It was about listening to his limits, about finding dignity in adaptation, about discovering that legacy is not only written in trophies, but in how you live when the winning stops. Vanessa's resilience lived in choice, choosing privacy, choosing intention, choosing a future that did not require constant explanation. It was a resilience built not on defiance, but on discernment in this imagined intersection. What drew them together was not glamour, but gravity, a shared understanding that survival does not always look heroic. Sometimes it looks like rest. V, the language of stillness. Athletes speak a language of motion. Public figures speak a language of presentation. But beneath both is a deeper language, stillness. Tiger had learned stillness through forced pauses, surgeries, rehab, seasons spent watching rather than competing. Vanessa learned stillness through withdrawal, stepping back from a public narrative that no longer served her. Stillness teaches listening. It strips away performance and reveals preference. It asks uncomfortable questions. What do you want when no one is watching? Who are you when you are not needed? In this shared stillness, connection grows not through intensity, but through ease, through the absence of pressure, through conversations that do not need to go anywhere to be meaningful. 6. Reinvention without reinvention. There's a cultural obsession with reinvention, the idea that after hardship, one must emerge transformed, rebranded, renewed. But true growth often looks less dramatic. For Tiger, growth meant accepting that excellence could coexist with limitation, that leadership could be quiet, that influence could endure without domination. For Vanessa, growth meant stepping into authorship of her own life, deciding what deserved attention and what did not, choosing substance over symbolism. In the creative narrative of their connection, neither sought to reinvent the other, and that, paradoxically, is what made the timing right. 7. Public curiosity, private reality. When recognizable lives intersect, the public imagination rushes in to fill the gaps. Motives are assigned. Stories are written before facts exist. Curiosity becomes consumption. But private reality rarely resembles public speculation. Real connection is mundane. It lives in shared meals, aligned values, mutual respect for boundaries. It grows slowly, protected from the distortions of expectation. In imagining why Vanessa Trump came into Tiger Woods' life at just the right time, the answer is not found in romance or drama, but in symmetry. Two arcs bending toward balance. Two individuals learning that wholeness is not something you win. It is something you allow. The unexpected gift. The unexpected gift of later chapters is clarity. You stop chasing mirrors and start seeking windows. You value consistency over excitement, understanding over intensity. In this creative telling, Vanessa Trump enters Tiger Woods' life not as a solution, a symbol, or a surprise twist, but as a reminder that life continues to offer connection, even after the world believes your most important chapters are written. And perhaps that is the most radical idea of all, that relevance is not the same as meaning, and that the quiet intersections are often the ones that save us. Epilogue. Beyond the headline. Headlines demand answers. Life prefers questions. Why now? Why them? Why does this moment matter? The answer, if there is one, is simple and profound, because both were finally ready to receive without performing, to connect without conquering, to exist without explanation. And sometimes that is exactly what the right time looks like. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.